I used to be very confused. As an engineer, I thought my job was to make sure that sites and services stayed up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. I was puzzled, and I couldn't understand why guys who built sites whose downtime interfaces were more familiar than their uptime interfaces got all the attention and all the respect, and most of all the money. But over this past year, I've had an epiphany. I've learned an important lesson. And that lesson is that downtime is sexy. Where else are you going to get the war stories and the battles against impossible odds and the meat for your speaking engagements? So I came up with a program for myself in order to learn how to not scale. The first part of it is to be trendy. Whatever technology is currently making the news or has the most buzz, that's what you should use. Not only does it help you not scale, but it makes the VCs happy. So the tool I use to pick technology is Reddit. Whatever's getting the most points this week is what I should build my next application with. Hey, look, it looks like I'm building my next application with Clojure and Qt on the desktop. On the other hand, math is not sexy, and graphs are not sexy, and performance charts are not sexy, and sets of statistics about your systems and that sort of thing. This is all very boring and very straight-laced. I mean, you really shouldn't be doing things like resource monitoring, performance testing, traffic monitoring, load tuning analysis, all of these various things. They're complicated, they're boring. No, you need a much more from the hip, much more intuitive way to make decisions about what to do in your technical infrastructure, and that's to draw on your experience. Whatever happened in your last project or your last job, that's how you should judge things now. If the database was slow last time, it's slow this time. If the network went down last time, it's slow, it went down this time. It's a technique I call barn door troubleshooting. And of the techniques I've outlined, I think it's the most popular one currently in Silicon Valley at companies big and small. Now let's talk a little bit about application design. This guy here is Joe Armstrong, the inventor of Erlang. He can parallel program your butt into the ground. 256 cores, 1,000 node cluster, no problem. This guy looks like my uncle. Not sexy. No, you need a different technique. Don't worry about it programming. All of those details about systems and memory management and all these other things, these are not your problem. You need to be hot and hip and from the hip. David says don't worry about it. So, learn single-threaded programming. Lots of locks. Ignore scope and memory context, have frequently updated single-row tables, have a single master queue that controls everything, and most of all, blocking threads are your friend. Now, one of the other things I had to learn how to get rid of was caching. I used to use lots of different kinds of caching, connection caching and data caching and object caching and HTTP caching and caching everywhere you looked. But none of this is sexy or hip. It's so complicated, it's hard to explain to your management. No, we need a much simpler technique, which I call direct to DB. Every single user action, no matter how trivial, generates a jQuery, which goes directly to the master database. This helps us not scale. It's also part of a more general lesson, which is that there is no hotness in scaling something that's easy to scale. Web servers and caches and shared nothing hosts and simple app servers, these are all easy to scale. These don't give you speaking engagements and hotness. No, you need to scale the impossible things. Transactional databases, queues, share file systems, really complicated web frameworks. That's how you can have the long nights and weekends and the war stories that will get you up on stage in an O'Reilly conference. The next concept is a simple acronym for a simple concept, single point of failure. This just means no matter how large your infrastructure is, there have to be a couple of things where a single equipment failure or a single software failure will bring down the entire infrastructure. For example, a load balancer that runs your entire network, or a single master queue into which every single task in your application is put. What's even better is to have a number of load balanced servers which are all running at 100% capacity. That way, when one of them fails, its traffic cascades onto the rest of the infrastructure and brings it down. So, having followed this program, you can learn how to not scale and how to be the big macho guy on stage. So, everybody repeat after me. Be sexy, go down. Thank you.